The New York Times does a story to show the test that I just aced, and they only used the first question. They didn't go into the other questions. They didn't go in. But toward the end, like they had a question like, pick a number, sir, any number. Okay.
Donald Trump is deeply unwell, and one Republican senator just made a post to prove it. And it comes as Donald Trump is being rushed home during a weekend he was supposed to spend golfing and not spend at Don Jr.'s wedding. But no, Donald Trump has been rushed in his motorcade back to the White House, back to DC. And it can only be for one of two reasons, but maybe a combination. His war on Iran, or another war, or Donald Trump's health, which has been in crisis for many months now. And that is what that Republican is making us think about. We are going to get into it all. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button, because it goes a long way in supporting our work. Now it all starts with what Donald Trump had to say at a disastrous speech today, with a tiny crowd of people yawning and talking about his cognitive decline. That's where I want to begin. Before we see him rushed home, and the Republicans sounding the alarm that's making me think that Donald Trump is in a health crisis right now.
So the New York Times does a story to show the test that I just aced, and they only used the first question. They didn't go into the other questions. They didn't go in. But toward the end, like they had a question like, pick a number, sir, any number. Okay. 203. Multiply times 9. Divide by 2. Add on 1,324. Subtract 1,292. Sir, multiply it out one more time by 19. What is the answer, sir? And I got it right. You know? And the one doctor said, I've been doing this test for 20 years. I've never seen anybody ace it. So then...
Yeah, Donald Trump's insistence on talking about his cognitive state and who is looking after it and who is not and who can't keep up with it, because quite frankly, he's such a smart guy. And we love that smart guy and we say, wow, you're so smart. Yeah, it doesn't make me think that Donald Trump is doing particularly well on the health side. And I don't need to rehash all my conspiracies that Donald Trump maybe took one of those online IQ tests and failed it so badly that now it's all he talks about. Or the fact that he's constantly being served up dementia screeners by his doctors because they're worried about how much worse he has gotten. We could talk conspiracies all day long. And they're not conspiracies, they're rightful questions being asked. Of course we should ask those questions, shouldn't we? We should. But we could also talk about what's happening right now. And that is Donald Trump looking discolored, disfigured, gross discontent as he's being rushed back to Washington, where he was supposed to be actually instead playing a little bit of golf. So why is Donald Trump being rushed back? Well, let's take a look at some of that news that's breaking before we get into this Republican saying what just gives us an indication of everything going wrong, especially with Trump's health. First, we see the White House press pool posting that Donald Trump's motorcade has arrived back at the White House at 7:04 p.m., where he will now remain for the weekend. Remaining at the White House, he was going to play golf. Not anymore. Earlier today, journalist Aaron Rupar tweeted that bruising and discoloration is visible on the back of Donald Trump's right hand as he boards Air Force One a few moments ago. Aaron Rupar also posted today about Donald Trump's discolored hands, saying the back of Trump's right hand is completely covered with some sort of thick lacquer today. It just looks gross and unhealthy. Now Donald Trump could certainly be in a health crisis, but this weekend could also be about war. Cuba, Iran, I don't know, maybe Greenland. But a post like this certainly does contribute to the fact that we all believe he's in cognitive decline. And if you think this weekend is about war rather than Donald Trump's brain being broken, Lindsey Graham saying, I believe the liberation of the wonderful people of Cuba from the clutches of communism is close at hand. Cuba Libre. So, like I said at the beginning of this video, one of two options. Either Donald Trump is being rushed back to the White House and avoiding his son Don Jr. This wedding in a very Logan Roy, Conor Roy-esque type of scenario. Or Donald Trump is dealing with some sort of health issue. His hand was discolored. He was talking about his cognitive state. He doesn't look good. They were rushing him back to the White House. I don't know. You could say any of that, or you could say all of it at the same time. And I kind of choose to say both, war and Trump just breaking down. Especially because Senator Mike Lee sounding the alarm posted this. It's got me asking a lot of questions. Mike Lee wrote on Twitter, praying for President Trump. Not sure what's happening, but whatever issue brought him back to Washington must be serious. Mike Lee, sitting senator, not sure what's happening, and praying for Donald Trump. We know that MAGA will say they're praying for anything. They're not really. It's all performative. But you don't often pray for someone who's executing on a war, you know. Like I guess you do, but if Donald Trump is just bombing Iran more, that doesn't seem like it's in the same context or the same kind of aesthetic of the I'm praying for you tweet. Doesn't I'm praying for you seem like there's a medical thing going on? Like I don't know what's wrong with Donald Trump. It must be serious. Rushed back to Washington, sounding the alarm clearly. But it doesn't sound like a war thing. It sounds more like a health thing. It sounds more like a deterioration thing. But this all contributes. You know, we've said this 1,000 times on the show. The mainstream media does not cover Donald Trump's decline at all. And of course they don't. They're bought in. They're sold off. They're constantly being purchased by another billionaire who will do the bidding of Donald Trump. So why would they? Why would they cover Donald Trump's cognitive decline? They wouldn't. It doesn't make any sense. They shouldn't, because they don't serve us. They serve the billionaires who own their outlets. They do not cover Donald Trump's cognitive decline. But when they do work up the courage, they say, oh, Donald Trump fell asleep. Kind of funny. Donald Trump slurring his words. Kind of funny. And I think that is the wrong approach. Now, we've made similar jokes about Donald Trump and his big fat McDonald's ass falling over, him being sick. And by the way, I love 2 quarter pounders, some fries and an ice cold Coke. I'm not complaining about McDonald's. I'm complaining about the man stuffing it down his gullet. But Donald Trump's cognitive decline is not just a matter of going sleepy times in cabinet meetings. It's not just a matter of the wild posts. It is what they represent about him. His disconnect from reality. That's what him falling asleep means. When Donald Trump makes a wild post, it's because he's gone from a low-filter person to a no-filter person. And a no-filter person will say they'll not just end a civilization. They won't just say it. They'll actually do it. They'll actually go forward with that. And a man who's so disconnected from reality like Donald Trump has Pete Hegseth doing his bidding and trying to make a little money with his stockbroker while doing it. We reported earlier today that Hegseth decided he was cancelling the deployment of 4,000 troops to Poland. And then Donald Trump said, why the hell did you do that? We like them. We want them there. We need that. And that has happened as Hegseth is bringing troops in Europe stationed with our allies back to the US, destabilizing those relationships, giving Putin exactly what he wants. And Trump said, why did you do this? And it's because Hegseth is just trying to predict what Donald Trump wants, because Donald Trump doesn't know what he wants and Donald Trump isn't in control. So it's so much more than just funny little sleepy videos and bruised hands. This is a deeply dangerous thing. And Donald Trump is flailing. His collapsing coalition, his collapsing cognitive and physical state, his collapsing Congress. We're seeing it play out. We saw it just yesterday. Just yesterday when Mike Johnson and Donald Trump shut everything down because Republicans were going to join with Democrats to stand in the way of Donald Trump's war. And so they just cancelled it all. And that's why I'm glad my good friend Jason Crow, great congressman from Colorado, called all of it out.
I just came off the House floor and wanted to update you on what transpired just a few minutes ago. We were set to vote on a war powers resolution. This is a constitutional duty so that Americans would know who would vote yes and who would vote no to continue this reckless war in Iran. The Republicans discovered that they were missing members and that they were about to lose the vote. So instead of still taking the vote, as Americans deserve, they literally just canceled it. They canceled it, they pulled the vote off the floor and kicked the can until after the Memorial Day recess. I mean, the audacity of this, the egregiousness of this, depriving Americans of their voice and their vote because they knew they were going to lose a vote and they're trying to cover for Donald Trump is truly beyond the pale. I am hot. I am so hot that they have once again turned their back on their...
This is how far Donald Trump and his stooges are willing to go to keep us at war. And we know why they're trying to keep us at war. It's for profit, right? This is a very profitable thing. Donald Trump has sold out America, sold out American lives, sold out American businesses, and sold out young working class kids across the country, because this is all very profitable for him. Donald Trump and the Epstein class make a lot of money. You know, there were emails, and I talk about this all the time, between Peter Thiel and Jeffrey Epstein about the need to destabilize the Middle East as a mode of profit. I've talked about this before. But you know, there's this idea that the economy does better under Democrats than Republicans, but I kind of dismiss that as something that is broadly true. And don't click off the video and get upset about this, but the economy doesn't do well for the 10 or 20 richest people in the country. You know, when it's running smoothly, that's not a good economy for them. The economy that they want is one of struggle and collapse and unemployment and people hurting and people being desperate. That is what they want. They want destabilization. They want your life to be hurt or ruined so that they can buy up assets, strip you of your property, and keep you as a permanent renter of all things for the rest of your life. A subscription service, never ending, never retiring. A series of long 8-9 day weeks for Mr. Bezos and Mr. Musk and Mr. Zuckerberg. And I am disgusted by it. But that's what these people want. They want the world to be destabilized. And it has gotten so bad that even Lauren Boebert can't answer for it.
Lauren, going forward, when you look at the state of play heading into the midterms, maybe now Cuba, the regime, you're going to have to own those decisions when the ballots come back around. And what do you make of not focusing on the domestic battles that a lot of MAGA voters signed up for? That was the war they thought they were going to be fighting, was a policy battle about fixing the affordability crisis at home that has really real implications in your home state and specifically in your district. What do you make of that?
Yes, so these foreign issues that we are facing are not my top priority. I understand that the president is tackling them hard. I praised him for his work in Venezuela. I've praised him for the initial strikes in Iran. And it's really tough to defend all the aspects of this war with Iran currently, especially when we see the Secretary of War doing campaign events in Kentucky, of all places, in the middle of a war. That's really difficult to grasp.
When we have gotten to the point of Republicans turning on Donald Trump en masse and a Republican like Lauren Boebert turning on Donald Trump en masse, things are going poorly. And that is what we are seeing right now. Donald Trump's health is also going poorly. We are going to talk about that every single day, and I will do it anywhere. If y'all were watching my videos today, even though YouTube is suppressing them, I know a lot of people have been commenting on that. It's happening all across YouTube. It's not just this channel. I was going to say thank God, but it's just not a good thing. I want to talk about that more in a later video, but I will be doing these videos everywhere, all the time. I'm doing a little bit of travel for one of my best buddies' birthdays, and so I'm in South Carolina right now. I did a video in a PF Chang's today, breaking news. I will talk anywhere, anytime about anything for y'all. I can promise you that no matter what, all I can ask is that you keep hanging out with me, and I appreciate that you do. And I appreciate that we have this trust, and I want to say this love between me and you. And we're going to keep on calling out the bullshit. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video. Keep on fighting, y'all. Don't let them silence you. And until next time, I'll see you.